kind of overgrown.
Yeah, when we have the plant material that has been matured and placed in, at one time it was very small and is just allowed to have grown very thick and heavy and dense, which again is really rough to maintain and is a lot of fuel for a fire.
Now let's talk about the different types of vegetation, because some of this actually might be able to be drought resistant, but that makes it very bad for fires, right?
Yeah, just because it is considered a drought resistant plant doesn't mean that it's going to resist fire. If it is drought resistant, it's going to allow a lot of dry foliage towards the ends.
All right, let's talk about this mulch here, because this cannot be good. I mean, this seems like the worst thing possible.
Yeah, the dry mulch is not good. It needs to be checked on. That's, again, you know, if you have proper irrigation to help with moisture, that would help out. But when it's just not maintained properly, it again is a lot of fuel for fire.
Plants that shed their leaves often will create additional fire fuel, as will plants or shrubs with woody branches, thick bark, or a high level of resin such as cedar or pine. So what can you use for fire-resistant landscaping besides cactus and garden gnomes? Believe it or not, there are plenty of options.
There is a lot of different plant material with different lilies and all different kinds of ground covers that we can use. You do some spacing, you do proper irrigation, and then the proper choice of plant material will allow you for a much safer, we should say, landscape for a fire.
So even prettier plants can be drought resistant and also retain water, right? That's a big deal too.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the gravel here, because as we look down to the ground, I mean, rocks, so much better than mulch, I'm thinking.
Yeah, well, with the rocks, it allows another barrier between your structure and the fire. So anytime that we're able to gain between the fire getting to a structure is going to be much better for the firefighters to get to the house.
All right, I've seen a lot of wildfires, and in all reality, is spacing like this and having some, you know, more drought-resistant vegetation really going to help when you have a raging wildfire?
Any time that we could save, again, is going to help the homeowner or property owner to protect whatever needs to be protected.
So it'll slow it down?
Absolutely.
To test the overgrown landscape, the weatherproof team has placed fire bars at the front, middle, and back of the plant bed. Even with the flames turned low, the fire goes into action almost instantly.
But you can already see just one flame jumping high like that can reach, you know, back farther, deeper into that brush.
The embers on the bottom are starting to light right now, too.
Well, I mean, already these bushes right around the front, those are already annihilated for the most part.
Fire moves quickly through crowded fuel sources due to radiant heat. As heat emanates from the flames, it preheats and dries the surrounding area. This process allows forest fires to move at speeds up to 40 miles per hour as moisture is evaporated and fuel in the form of trees, plants, or even houses reach their flash point.
Our second layer of bushes now on fire, and that thing's annihilated. I mean, it hasn't taken long for this thing to go from the front row to the second row, the back row now even.
You see the embers starting to fly up a little bit. It's hard to see because it's daylight, but you can see the ashes. And in those ashes, there's also embers.
The upward draft created by rising heat of large fires can carry embers hundreds of feet from the source fire. When those red-hot embers land, whether it be in trees or on rooftops, spot fires are formed. This process makes fighting fires difficult, as one fire can quickly spawn hundreds more.
I've seen a lot of fires on TV, and you see them, you know, eating the brush and eating the wood and whatnot, and I've been to aftermath of fires, but I've never seen a fire just happen as quick as this did behind us. This was a really good simulation to show just how quickly the fuel, the vegetation around your house can get eaten alive by the heat from a fire, and as you can see, it can be very dangerous and potentially deadly.
In this test, we noticed right when we lit the fire bar, instantly we were getting crackling from the bushes. And shortly thereafter, we had the ground mulch lighting. And what that showed us is how the heat, the exposure of the radiant heat was preheating the next item, the next item, and the next item. And the reason we know that is because there's very little wind. And it just kept burning and burning and burning. The bigger the fire gets, the quicker that process happens. So by the time you get to your structure, if you had a big yard with lots of fuel like this, your structure would be ripe and ready for a fire. It'd be a bad situation.
It's time now to test our more fire-resistant vegetation. We're going to do the same exact test, but on different vegetation that's spaced out much farther than our first test. And also, here we have more of the gravel than we do the mulch.
Bring it up. There's a little bit of crackling going on with our little vegetation. The plants that are the most susceptible, they're getting pretty burned up right now, but they're not continuing to burn like the other bushes we had. They're like once you lit the other bushes, it just kept going. These are shriveling up, dying, and that's about it.
Yeah.
There's not a whole bunch of smoke coming off. Remember we had those embers going last time?
Yep.
And the wind, if the wind were to come right now, you wouldn't really even have any embers We finally got one starting to burn on the right, and see it's just starting to flame a little bit. But notice how it's burning? It's not like taking off and becoming this big ball of fire. It's wilting away and just kind of shriveling up.
And look how this wind is really starting to blow, and it's not spreading.
With proper spacing and a high moisture content, the plants are able to resist the heat longer and slow down the progress of the fire. By replacing mulch with gravel and greatly reducing the amount of dry leafy material seen in the first test, the mock structure survives.
This just proved to me that the correct spacing and the correct vegetation could really help save your home. I'm very impressed with this.
As you can see, our building's starting to char here, but that wasn't from the bushes burning on their own to the building. We actually helped the fire out a little bit. We have, again, our fire bar. It basically squirts fire out of it, and that's the only reason this got singed. But the cool part about this is, had you had a big fire coming through your area and it was blowing through, that's what this was simulating. You can see these plants. These plants got tore up a little bit, but they're in direct flame contact. And some of these plants look like they'll sprout right back up. I mean, they took a lot of heat. You can tell this burnt, and this is right next to it. It's cracked and everything, but this plant here will probably make it. That one, all these plants here will make it.
Coming up, can a thin layer of gel protect wood from the ravages of fire? And later, you're trapped in a high-rise with all exits blocked by fire. Newton chooses to run through the flames. Stephanie would rather jump out of a third-story window.
All right, everyone, we're live in 60.
The dreaded first sneeze, that crucial moment when you're left with a choice. Shorten your cold or suffer through it. At the first sign, get rid of your cold faster with Zicam.
Clean it up. Sanitize items you touch frequently to reduce your risk at catching a cold. At the first sign, get rid of your cold faster with Zicam.
Lately, we've been looking for faucets in all these designer home magazines.
Look at that one.
Oh, wow.
Am I right?
That looks pricey.
So we went to Lowe's, and that's what we heard Sarah say.
Nobody beats our prices.
Music to my ears.
Well, that's why at Lowe's we sell more Kohler, Moen, and Delta than any national retailer. And of course, nobody beats our prices. Nobody.
I love that.
Experience Lowe's. Let's build something together. Through March 14th, save up to $400 instantly on products for your next bathroom update.
At TurboTax, we're all about making taxes easy, like SnapTax.
Every time I touch that track, it turns into gold. Everybody knows I got the magic in me. I got the magic, baby. Every time I touch that track, it turns into gold. Yes, it turns to gold. Everybody knows.
It's just one more way you can choose easy.
Homeowners, rates have been going up, but you can still refinance to a fixed rate as low as 4.5% at LendingTree.com, where customers save an average of $293 a month. Call LendingTree at 1-800-800-8733 today.
Get real about what you put in your coffee. Le Creme, 100% real dairy in 4 amazing all-natural flavors. Get real. Get Le Creme.
Nobody intimidates our clients. Nobody. If you've worked on the books all of your life and now you're disabled and you can't work anymore, don't let anybody intimidate you. Call 1-800-66-BINDER.
Tonight on Cantore Stories. For Jim Cantore, it's heaven on earth.
Howling wind, horizontal rain, and pounding surf.
The Storm Tracker discovers a storm watcher's paradise.
The windier and the stormier, the better.
Cantore Stories. Tonight, 8/7 Central on the Weather Channel.
Attention, if you have diabetes.
If you have diabetes, I have groundbreaking news for you. Citizens Medical has a way for you to test your glucose nearly pain-free. Imagine, no more pricking your fingers. With this new meter, you can test from a tiny sample taken from your arm so it's virtually painless. And listen to this.
Your blood glucose reading is 103.
This meter talks to you. Seeing and hearing your reading can help you confirm accuracy. Best of all, Citizens Medical can send you one at no cost.
I don't test on my fingers anymore. I use my arm and I can barely feel it. And I love how this meter talks to me.
you can have your diabetes supplies delivered to your home. They work with Medicare or your insurance. They handle the paperwork and have nurses certified in diabetes available to answer your questions. Call Citizens Medical today and change the way you test.
Welcome back to Weatherproof. When wildfires threaten property, one common practice by homeowners is to wet down their home with as much water as possible. Stephanie and Newton will test that method, as well as a fire gel that is sprayed on the home using a standard garden hose. Can either option withstand the extreme heat of a wildfire?
I'm really interested in this experiment because a lot of times when you see people evacuating their homes, if a wildfire is coming in their direction, you see them with a hose outside spraying down their home. But I never know what happens after that. You know, we never go back and revisit their homes. We don't know if they withstood the fire or not. So I'm really interested to see, once we soak down this home, if it can withstand the fire. And then also that gel. I've never, ever seen that gel before in my life. So I'm very curious to see how that gel holds up as well.
For this test, we have our traditional fire bar with the slots in it, and we have a torch. This torch is really going to heat things up. It's going to blow right at the wood. And I think if there's any good test for this product, it's going to be this. This is kind of overdoing it. You're going to have a torch blasting on it the whole time.
The test structures are identical. One will be protected by water, the other by the fire gel.
The tree that is not treated is already on fire.
Yeah, and we got a little bit of embers even coming all the way over here from it.
I mean, that tree's gone. The leaves are done on that one.
The unprotected tree catches fire in about 2 seconds. The gel-covered tree is completely surrounded by flames, but is able to resist combustion. At just over 20 seconds, the water-protected structure catches fire.
So the house that is not protected is on fire.
Yeah, it's on fire, and we still have this one over here. Doesn't look like it's burning at all.
Even right where that torch is right into the house, it just has a little black circle, but it's not catching on fire.
And it seems to be doing a really good job.
The main ingredient protecting both structures is water. The difference between the two is that the gel encases water, trapping it and protecting it from evaporation.
That house is falling apart already. The untreated house is falling apart.
I think we got what we needed. This has gotten fried. I mean, everything's on it, burnt.
And you can see that it's still smoking, completely burned. There is not 1 ounce of this that is not burned.
The test took only a minute and a half, and virtually every area of the structure is charred. But how did the other test structure fare?
Now, what we had is the firemen here, they actually wiped down. This was completely covered. The flame didn't take away this fire retardant. A hose actually came in and took away the fire retardant just to show that basically the only thing that got charred was the fire retardant and not the house.
This is exactly where the flame was blowing out of this torch. Yeah, just blowing on it the whole time. So this is a really good test because it's over the top. This is our style of test. We like to take products to the limit and a little bit more. We had a flame that was just a couple feet away, directly blasting that. Both homes had that. And the one with the fire retardant, it didn't even get through the fire retardant. It seemed like it charred the fire retardant. Literally, it looks like a marshmallow. And then once you wipe that down, the wood is perfectly fine.
The fire gel worked flawlessly, but what is it? The non-toxic biodegradable gel is a combination of elements similar to those found in baby diapers, salad dressing, and chocolate. The gel serves as a barrier between fuel and fire, depleting its access to oxygen, and cools the fire with its high water content, and, according to Newton, is even delicious.
The great thing about this product is it's something homeowners can buy and they can easily apply in the event that a wildfire is threatening their home.
When we come back, you're in a burning building. Would you rather crawl out of an upper window to a thin lifeline or run directly through red-hot flames? It's all coming up on Weatherproof.
The inspiration for its shape was an archer drawing his bow. Could that have also inspired its 556 horsepower supercharged engine? The all-new Cadillac CT-SV Coupe. We don't just make luxury cars, we make Cadillacs.
Fire damage strikes fast.
So do we. When you call the cleanup specialists at 1-800-SERVE-PRO, like it never even happened.
I can't reach the remote.
Thankfully, it even works on the man cold. Vicks DayQuil relieves 5 cold and flu symptoms: aches, fever, sore throat, nasal congestion, cough.
Don't you feel good?